Your African history cannot be complete if you don't know this part of it. Okay? If your African history only exists in the transatlantic slave trades, the Africans that were traded to South America and North America, if that's where it starts and ends, I'm gonna need you to sit at the back, okay? Give yourself some time to kind of learn the whole entire history of Africa, okay? I don't blame those other guys on that side. But for you, Africans on the continent, I blame you if you don't know how to discuss this. And I know why you have a difficulty understanding this. There's two reasons why you don't know how to understand this and why it cannot penetrate your head. Number one, a lot of you became Muslim. When we talk to you about becoming Muslim, you act like we are attacking your religion. We are saying to you, we have a history and you are that religion because your people were forced, murdered, genocided to turn into it, okay? You can go ahead and still continue being a Muslim, but don't you dare act like what we're saying is not true. Don't you dare act like Arabization didn't happen. Continue being Muslim. And I'll come to the Christians too, okay? And all of you too can continue being Christian, but don't you dare act like Christianity didn't come to you through force of colonization, genocide, rape. Yeah. The same Bibles that you both hold like this, Allah's word and the Christian Bible, those two things were used when they were raping you and creating new generations. Okay? So let's get back to this. The people who have a hard time denying that the Arab people in North Africa are not indigenous to Africa, okay? Those are the people that have sold into, the whitewashing or Arabization of African history. They don't know what they're talking about, but I'm going to explain to you how they manipulated it in a way that it makes sense to them, okay? But I'm going to explain it to you, and for once and for all, you're going to understand it, okay? It starts out like this. We say as Africans, every single Arab ethnicity in North Africa is not indigenous or native, including the Berbers. No, the Berbers are indigenous. The Berbers were there 50,000. The Berbers are indigenous. Okay. I ask you to show us the indigenous native way of Berbers and any type of ethnic Arab people in North Africa. That does not have to do with the sand. That does not have to do with the desert. Because 30,000 years ago, or even further than that, I think, further than that, okay? North Africa was green. It was just like Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, and Western Africa. The desert of it in the continent only came about 30,000 years ago. Which means that we were there. And I can prove it to you, and I will. If North Africans cannot show us their native way, where North Africa was lush and green, then they're not indigenous. Because your native way to Africa cannot start with a dress, okay? It cannot start with a covering. We didn't always have sand up there, okay? We were pushed. Bantu people were pushed from there all the way down, okay? So scholars come together, and this is how they manipulate the history. You see all that blue and white? This is how they explain it. They say, well, different people, Africans did not divide Africa the way we divide it today. So that means that the people that were in the Middle East, right, they would say it's 540, they could have easily just been spread and over there, and to them, when they called, certain parts of Africa, Ethiopia, land of the black, or whatever, these differentiated areas, oh, that was back then, right? That's also it holds nothing. It's such a loose, weak argument. Because as long as you are African, your history goes back further than anybody else. You cannot sit here and argue with Berbers, okay? Berbers are not indigenous. They didn't come from Africa, okay? Number two, when I talk about Arabs, a lot of you feel uncomfortable. I don't. Up until the Arab nation, up until Europe rewrites African history correctly, then I don't know why I need to tiptoe around anybody, because clearly those two groups don't give a shit about fixing my African history. So I don't need anybody to come tell me how to speak, okay? If you don't know how to go correct them and ask them to fix the mess that they made. It's simple, okay? I don't care if you are black, white, Arab, Christian, or Muslim. when it comes to African history, I have no problem speaking the truth about it. Arabs are not the light-skinned people that you just see today. That's not who they were originally. The word Arab really doesn't pertain to an ethnicity or a culture, because we now know that Arabs are, you get the light-skinned ones today. But if you want to go back to 540 over there, majority of them were like dark-skinned, like the Berbers, right? So that's not my problem to come in and be explaining to you, and some people feel uncomfortable and stuff like that. There were Arabs that were even blacker than me. So when I say Arab, I'm talking about the whole color spectrum of the Arab, okay? So where are the indigenous native people of Africa? In this blue area, when it's green. And if you want to say that people from the Middle East could have spread in Africa and you want to call them indigenous, then why is it so hard for you to say people from inside Africa spread out of Africa, therefore owning areas like Middle East and Europe? Because it seems like it's one-sided, okay? That's how they manipulate this history, right? They'll be like, oh, in the desert, the Africans were not there. They wear loincloth, and so they couldn't survive the desert. We were pushed out of the desert. It is our ancestors that turned that area into a desert. See, you guys don't even know that. You guys don't even know that. You think it's just by magic that there was a desert there that separated the Arabs, and then the rest of us are further down? You think that was a mistake? There's a reason that happened. Because had that not happened, had that not desert started, they would have flowed all the way down into Africa, calling us kafirs, non-believers, slaves, things that need to be mistreated. That's what they would have done. Till this day, when you see an African become a Muslim and you look at them like, you're so stupid. Because in Islam, it says that you're a fucking dumbass non-believer for believing in your ancestors, the one that gave birth to you. The one that fought through everything to make sure that you and me are alive today. That religion, both of them, they say that you're stupid. And then you want to get mad at people like me who talk about African history. This is history, baby. I don't have to sugarcoat it. I don't have to put sweet words in front of people, because the ugliness of African history, you cannot present it in a soft, manageable way. Okay? They make fun of us, Arabs and Europeans, right? Who hold on to whitewash history and Arabized African history. They laugh when we show them these images. They think we're making them up. Why? Because they are brains. They don't even understand what's going on. This is more than colors. We're not just grabbing fashion. This was never fashion. When we show you pictures of Egypt all the way up north, and we show you how the tribes in South Africa, all the way down south, till this day, are still dressed in ways that are similar. But history does not recognize that. It does not acknowledge that. Do you know what history said? Arabization and white colonization history said in African history? The only black people that came out of Egypt area was Nilots. Why? Because Nilots are people that came down the Nile. However, the Nile was a trading place. Everybody was there. So you're telling me that the only group of people that you can acknowledge that were black and were in North Africa, the ones that came down the Nile? What happened to the other ones? What happened to the other groups that came down the Nile? It can't be one group. It can't be. And we have the proof of it right here. We have proof of it in our traditional outwear. And these items that every time that you see that being worn, again, they are not fashion. They mean something. Okay? It's not the Western world here where you just put on clothes. Every single thing in there means something, which is why we understand it, why it's worn by certain people in ancient Egypt. This whole time, everybody wants to only see Ramses' face and the gods and the missing noses and everything. What's so hard in understanding this? So you're telling me that there are no Arabs, there are no white people that all of a sudden can have this conversation, and then when we have it, all of a sudden it's funny, haha. Oh no, I'll never be apologetic, nor will I ever sugarcoat my African history for any one of you guys. I don't care if you love me, if you know me. When it comes to African history, it is what it is, okay? Because the people that whitewashed it, they didn't give a damn. And guess what? I don't give a damn how I deliver it either.